There's always two different paths. And I would ask you, which path are you on? Because the rule breaker, the one that's willing to do it differently, they become the rule maker. So here's what we're seeing. You're seeing it, I'm seeing it, we're all seeing it. We know that inflation has really changed the market. It's changing pricing. We've got to be careful about it, because if we're not aware of it, as an industry, we can start to price ourselves out of that middle-class buyer that's so important to us, that farm system of the industry. And then we've got, many of us in this room, inventory issues. Look, I understand there's many of you right now that are saying, I'm not just trying to get rid of 2024 models, I'm trying to get rid of 2023 models. I'm doing whatever it takes. I'm trying to liquidate, which means we've got issues with interest rates that are hurting your cash flow. And then we've got interest rates in the marketplace that is causing the buyer to say, gee, I don't know if I want to necessarily get a loan for a boat right now. And all of this affects consumer confidence, of course, especially in a year when we had an election. The good thing is, though, we're past these things, right? And now we can start to look ahead. But I'd be lying if I said in 2024, yeah, selling is harder. It's been harder than it's been before. Now, you look on the marketing side of things in terms of generating leads for your business. One of the things that I've heard from many dealerships, it's harder to get leads. Why is this happening? Well, let's look at the trends in marketing that are affecting us for years to come. And they're just getting faster and faster. You know, I've been talking about this whole marketing thing for the better part of 15 years from stage. I have never seen change at the rate that I have seen in the last year. It's phenomenal what's happening. And so we can't be passive about knowing what's going on. What's happening with our buyer? Our buyer, us in this room, we are becoming more impatient online. We want the answer. We want it now. And today, it's called a buyer's journey much more than it's called a sales process, because the buyer wants to be in charge. And the question we always have is, are they willing to give me what I want as the buyer, as the consumer, as the researcher, and can I get it right now? That's not going to change. Now, along with that, November 2022, this new little tool comes out. It's called ChatGPT. It's the first time many of us start thinking about AI. It is utterly changing our entire world. Many of us in this room, if I'm being very honest, are sleeping on this life-changing, business-changing technology. We have not seen a bigger innovation, and I'm not exaggerating, since electricity. It is much bigger than the internet. Now, because of what's happening with AI, at the same time, some of you have noticed that I'm not getting as much traffic to my website. You see, the pendulum is swinging. Now we can go online and we can get that answer without having to click on the thing. And when you can get the answer without having to click on the thing, that means you start to get less visitors, which means you cannot build your house on Google alone in Google search. What does that mean? It means you've got to build a known and trusted brand in the marketplace. Brand is going to become more important than ever in the coming years. We've got to find ways outside of just Google or traditional search to become known. And along with this, what we're seeing is that shotgun marketing, that spray and pray marketing, where we could just spend a lot of money before, it's not working like it used to. I had this one dealer come to me and I couldn't believe this. And this was at the end of last year. He's telling me about how he was so proud of the fact that he had this huge budget for TV and for radio. And I was thinking, you are in trouble. And he was literally telling me this as if he didn't have to worry about this whole digital thing that's happening in the world. And I caught up with that dealer later on this year, and it's been a bad year. And he finally said, I need to think of ways to generate leads to my business without those traditional means that aren't working anymore. And so this is what we're seeing. Marketing, yes, it's harder right now. Totally okay. Because whenever stuff is harder, what it means is many of our peers are complaining that it's harder, and they're missing the opportunities to, in this case, outperform, which is the great theme of this event, which is perfect, which I'm so excited about. You know, we come to these events, and it's the magic of getting out of the business, right? And because we're getting out of the business, we can actually work on the business because we're not in the grind of the day-to-day. This is where you will get the inspiration that can change literally your entire life, your trajectory of your business right here at an event like this. And it's not necessarily what somebody like me says on a stage, but it could very well be that conversation that you have with that one dealer that you don't even know, but you strike it up over a cup of coffee, and suddenly that person tells you something that you needed to hear, and that's why you came to this event. And so we have this magical opportunity to network and to learn from each other. My mentor, Jim Rohn, he used to always say, to have more than you got to become more than you are. This week, we as a group are going to become more than we are. Now, some of you know my story. Many of you do not. I started a swimming pool company called River Pools in 2001 with two buddies. And we were just growing this company, and things were okay up until 2008 and 2009. Now, many of you were in the industry during that time. Whether it was RVs, whether it was boats, whether it was swimming pools, we all went through the same mess. But the beauty of pain and suffering, because I was this close to filing bankruptcy, this close. When I would get home in the afternoon, my wife wouldn't even ask me, how was your day? Because she knew it was a bad day. And she didn't want me to think about it. During that time period, 2008, 2009, literally, I had to go to family twice to get loans for payroll. Some of you have experienced that in your own lives. But the wonderful thing about pain is it forces us to do what? Do that thing we've known for a while that we should be doing. We throw caution to the wind. We say, just send it. And we start to take risks. We start to disrupt. We now embrace change. That's the beauty of it. And for me, I said, okay, I'm going to obsess over the buyer. And we started this thing that today I call They Ask You Answer. And we said, we're going to literally address every single question, worry, fear, issue, concern that our customers have, that I've heard over the years as a swimming pool sales guy at the time. And we addressed that online. And we became the most trafficked swimming pool website in the world. And we built up so much momentum, then we became a manufacturer. And we became the fastest growing manufacturer of fiberglass pools in the world. And then we became the first franchise of fiberglass pools in the world. All because we said, we're going to embrace the way the buyer is changing today. Now, They Ask You Answer became a book, and many of you have embraced it. But, you know, even an evergreen book like They Ask You Answer has to evolve. I know many of you have read this, and today I want to talk about this evolution of the buyer and what we've got to do as a group, if we want to continue to say, all right, we're going to outperform the market, we're going to continue to grow, we're going to build a sustainable business, and we're not going to be affected by every time this roller coaster of an economy goes up and down, that we're actually going to build something that is ready for that, that can sustain that. Now, I have to have a disclaimer, and some of you have already figured this out. I yell, all right. So for those that already are thinking, I'm going to put on the survey, that guy yelled at me. We all know that I just yell a lot. And the reason is because if you have almost lost your home to the creditors, and if you have looked over that precipice like I have, and then you find this incredible place of financial peace where you know you've got this incredible endless stream of leads coming to you, you can't help but to be excited to share that with people. So the reason why I'm so passionate is because I've gone through the valley and then I've come up the mountain, and I want to make sure that if you're in the valley right now, you see the light at the end of that tunnel. If you are on top right now, I want you to see from today how you can maintain that and not slip and not see yourself revert to some of those old practices. So let's lean into it. We're going to talk today about 7 habits that if you integrate these into your business, and if you're very serious about them, they will help you become the most known and trusted brand in your market. Because that's the goal. Because it doesn't matter what happens with technology, it doesn't matter what happens with AI, if you're the most known and trusted brand in your market, you are built to last. And so we've got to get that. If you do these things, I promise you, you are going to dramatically outperform what your peers are doing in the industry. Because everybody else is going to be average, you're not. And then if you do these 7 things, my promise and commitment to you is you're going to have an endless stream of leads and ultimately customers, meaning that you have financial peace, which is why we got into business in the first place. So that's my promise, that's my commitment to you today. Habit number 1. This is so fundamental that we as a group embrace disruption. Embrace change. I'm going to show you these brands. What do these brands here have in common? They're gone. But every single one of them was at the top. They were all at the top, but now essentially they're gone. Now, it's so fascinating when you look at each one of these because the reason why they're gone is the exact same reason, is they didn't want to disrupt, to change themselves, their business models. Case in point, Kodak. The reason why they were so successful is they had this huge business where they sold this thing called film. Kodak loved that. What's interesting is another technology came out called digital film. Do you know who invented digital film? And this is the part that many people don't realize. Do you know what company invented digital film? Kodak! But they were so in love with the way it had always been done that they couldn't replace themselves. The story of Blockbuster, it's no different. Do you realize Blockbuster had their most successful year, 2000. And this new startup who is struggling financially comes to them and says, will you buy us because it looks like we're going to have to file bankruptcy? Blockbuster listened to their business model and said, that's ridiculous. And they literally laughed the CEO of this little startup that was having those financial troubles out of the room. I kid you not. He said it was the most embarrassing professional experience of his life. And of course, that company was who? Netflix. How does that happen? It's because we get so in love with the way we've always done the thing. You see, in every industry, we suffer from a mindset. And we like to say, but that, you don't understand. You don't understand, pool guy. That won't work for us. But it's all principles. It is so easy for us this week. We've got this opportunity, all these learning experiences. We go to the expo, we have those sessions. You're gonna hear new stuff from me this morning. And it's going to be so easy for you to say, but that won't work for us. And I'm telling you that it will get you nowhere. You will not make any change. And you're going to find yourself being that Kodak. You've got to come from this place, all of us in this room. Could that work for me? Yeah, that's different. Yeah, that's not been done, but could that work for me? Is it possible? I promise you that it is. If you're looking at it from a principle perspective, if you're looking, how could we apply this? Because principles are principles. They do not change, and we're leaning into those principles today. Now, when it comes to disruption, this is how it works in every single industry. And we see it in this industry. I've seen it myself. You see, 98% of our industry is what we generally call rule followers. These are the ones that are following best practices the way it's always been done. They're not good, they're not bad, we're going through it, but we're not shaking things up. Now, this isn't a knock on anyone. At different times in my businesses, I have been that 98%. That is the majority. Then you have 1%. They're the leaders. They're setting the tone. They are the Blockbuster. They are the Kodak, whatever. But then someone comes in and breaks a rule. Now, what's so interesting about that company that comes in and breaks a rule, as they say, generally, what does the leader do? First, they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win. That's the 4 phases of disruption. They ignore you, they laugh at you, they fight you, then you win. Little company called Uber. Nobody wanted to even recognize them. Never gonna work. You mean you can select your driver? That's ridiculous. And so all the taxi companies laughed at them. But then what happens with these rule breakers is the marketplace says, I like that. I wanna use that. The marketplace says, so you tell me I don't have to go to a hotel, I can stay in a home, and I can choose which home and what experience. I'll take that. Marketplace says, so I can buy this car directly from the manufacturer, thank you Tesla, instead of going through a dealer. Oh, I'll take that. And every single one of these companies were attacked. They fought against them, but eventually what happens? The marketplace wins. And so we see it over and over again. There's always 2 different paths. And I would ask you, which path are you on? Because the rule breaker, the one that's willing to do it differently, you see, they become the rule maker. And they end up, because the market wants it that way, now they're the new leader of the industry. You're seeing it with manufacturers in this space right now. We know we're very traditional in many ways. The manufacturers that are willing to break industry norms are going to become the new leaders. And the ones that have been sitting on their perch, the old leader, that are saying, no, that won't work for us, well, now they have to fall in line. And they become the rule follower. And now they're known as the previous leader. Now they're known as the blockbuster. And that is the circle of life. And you see it over and over again. So I would ask you a simple question. I want you to really reflect on this. As an organization, as a retailer right now in marine, are you truly doing things differently than the rest of the industry? Now, you can't say, no, our people are the best. That doesn't count because everybody in this room says, our people are great. You literally have to be doing something where your competitors would agree, yeah, we're not going to do that. No way we could do that. And I'm going to show you some of those things, but it starts with this mindset of we are willing to be different. In fact, we're looking for it. We're not waiting for the opportunity. We lean into disruption because we know it's the only way to consistently stay ahead of the marketplace. Constant reinvention.